Russian forces preparing to work under radioactive contamination. U.S. Army is miles from Russia's border. Two Koreas exchange warning shots. Rishi Sunak becomes the next Prime Minister of the UK. Japan's seniors brace for life without retirement. India launches 36 internet satellites. Guinea's Junta agrees to hold elections. Children in Africa 5 times less likely to receive a basic education.
Hello, I'm Jolie. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It is Tuesday, October 25th, and here are your top stories. Russia's defense ministry said on Monday that it had prepared its forces to work under radioactive conditions after Moscow accused on the pretext of Ukraine of planning to detonate a dirty bomb, something Kyiv has strongly denied. However, after weeks of rising international tension following threats by President Vladimir Putin to defend Russia's territorial integrity with nuclear weapons, it was the first concrete statement from Moscow of a change in its forces' state of preparedness.
A dirty bomb is a device using conventional explosive packed with radioactive material to spread contamination over a wide area. The head of Russia's nuclear, biological, and chemical protection troops, Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, said Monday the aim of dirty bomb attack would be to blame the resulting radioactive contamination on Russia by accusing it of detonating a low-grade nuclear weapon. He said his forces and resources have been put in readiness to perform tasks in conditions of radioactive contamination.
CBS reported the U.S. Army's 101st Airborne Division has been deployed to Europe for the first time in almost 80 years amid soaring tension between Russia and the American-led NATO military alliance. The light infantry unit, nicknamed the Screaming Eagles, is trained to deploy on any battlefields in the world within hours, ready to fight. The war in Ukraine, which is so close to NATO territory in Romania, is why one of America's most elite air assault divisions has been sent in, with some heavy equipment.
The division's deputy commander, Brigadier General John Lubas, said, "We bring a unique capability. From our air assault capability, we're a light infantry force, but again, we bring that mobility with us for our aircraft and air assault." Colonel Edwin Matidis, commander of the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, said that he and his troops were the closest American forces to the fighting in Ukraine. If the fighting escalates or there's any attack on NATO, they're fully prepared to cross the border into Ukraine.
North and South Korea exchanged warning shots of the West Coast on Monday. The South Joint Chiefs of Staff said it broadcast warnings and fired warning shots to deter a North Korean merchant vessel from furthering crossing the northern limit line, the de facto sea boundary, at around 3:40 a.m. local time. The North's military said it fired 10 rocket artillery rounds after a South Korean Navy ship violated the NLL and fired warning shots on the pretext of tracking down an identified ship.
According to the official KCNA news agency, a spokesperson for the General Staff of the North Korean People's Army said, "We ordered initial countermeasures to strongly expel the enemy warship." The South's Joint Chief of Staff said it had conducted a normal operation over the border intrusion and calls the North's move a violation of a 2018 bilateral military pact banning hostile acts in the border areas. South Korean naval forces said on Monday that they would stage 4-day exercises off the west coast.
Rishi Sunak became Britain's first Prime Minister of colour on Tuesday after he won the race to lead the Conservative Party, one of the wealthiest politicians in Westminster. 42 years old, Sunak became the country's youngest leader in modern times and the UK's third PM in less than 2 months. He told his lawmakers in Parliament on Monday that they faced an existential crisis and must unite or die. He told the country it faced a profound economic challenge.
Sunak, who will be appointed Prime Minister by King Charles on Tuesday, said, "We now need stability and unity, and I will make it my utmost priority to bring our party and our country together." The multi-millionaire, former hedge fund boss, became the country's first Prime Minister of Indian origin. His family migrated to Britain in the 1960s, and Sunak attended Oxford University and Stanford University. He will be expected to make deep spending cuts to try to rebuild Britain's fiscal reputation.
Struck 它是 strike 这动词的过去式 strike a deal 就是
学习享受一个人的美好时光 FUNDAY 英语
Last month, Japan's Ministry of Internal Affairs announced that those aged 75 and older accounted for more than 15% of the total population for the first time, the highest in the world. According to the report released on Respect for the Aged Day on September 19th, the number of over 65s with job grew for its 18th consecutive year, hitting 9.09 million or 13.5% of the working population. And when looking at those between the ages of 65 and 69, more than 50% are working.
According to the Cabinet's Office's annual report on the Aging Society for fiscal 2021, the percentage of those aged 60 and over in paid employment who wishes to continue working was 40.2% in Japan. That desire to continue being a part of the labor force concurs with the government's emphasis on what it calls the 100-year life, and its push for related labor market reform aimed at allowing people to work well into their twilight years to compensate for the nation's stubbornly low birth rate and ballooning healthcare and pension costs.
India launched a rocket carrying 36 private internet satellites early Sunday. The liftoff from southern India was the first launch for London-based OneWeb since breaking with the Russian space agency in March because of Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. OneWeb's 462 operational satellites constitute over 70% of what the company said it needs to provide broadband services around the world. OneWeb said it remains on track to activate global coverage next year with a planned constellation of 648 satellites.
OneWeb is now owned by the government of the United Kingdom and an Indian multinational conglomerate, Bharti Global, a company headquartered in New Delhi that was founded in 1976 by Sunil Bharti Mittal. The launch was the 14th of OneWeb satellite and relied on India's heaviest rocket, normally reserved for government spacecraft. All of the previous OneWeb flights were on Russian rockets, the first of which was in 2019. The launch reflects India's efforts to corner the small satellite launch market.
The Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS, has spent more than a year negotiating with Guinea's coup leader Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya's government, following a coup in September 2021. Even though ECOWAS has imposed sanctions on junta leadership, the Guinea government reached an agreement late Friday regarding a schedule for holding elections a little over 2 years from now. Mali and ECOWAS have already agreed on election dates, which are scheduled for March 2024.
Guinea is the second country hit by a recent coup in West Africa after Mali. Burkina Faso then followed suit twice in a year. ECOWAS has said that Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso all remain suspended from the bloc until elections are held. Guinea's junta initially proposed a 3-year transition, which was rejected by ECOWAS, who already had obtained 2-year transition deals after a similar coup in both Mali and Burkina Faso. Guinea's 2-year bloc starts in January, with elections then due in early 2025.
A new UN Education Agency report shows children on the African continent are 5 times less likely to receive a basic education than those living elsewhere. The ability of education system to ensure even rudimentary literacy skills for their students has declined in 4 out of 10 African countries over the last 3 decades. The report said while every child is born to learn, they can do so if they're hungry, lack textbooks, or don't speak the language they're being taught in. Lack of basic support for teachers is another key factor.
The findings were published by the Global Education Monitoring Report at UNESCO, the Association for the Development of Education in Africa and the African Union. The key recommendations in the report includes to give all children textbook, to teach all children in their home language, to provide all children with a school meal, to make a clear plan to improve learning, to develop teacher capacity, to prepare teacher leaders, to learn from peer countries, and to focus aid on institution building.
FUNDAY News will help you sharpen your English skills and keep you informed about international current events. If you want to know more about our other programs and keep learning about the world's most important topics in English, please click the link in the description below to join FUNDAY for free. I'm Jolie, your host. I'll see you next time.